Don't you miss the sweet slumbers you fell into as a child? Neend app helps you recreate that magic with well-crafted, exclusive sleep stories, guided meditations, and calming music to lull you into the restful sleep you need. Our offerings are all ad-free, approved by experts, and have helped more than 90% of our listeners fall asleep as quick as within 15 minutes after tuning into our app. Download the app for more sleeping aids and subscribe to the channel. Hi, I am Kshitij, and I'll take you to a fantasy world where a crippled man was taken to the beach by an angel in this fiction written by Uma Swaminathan. Before we begin, make yourself comfortable in your favorite position for falling asleep. Switch off all lights and close your eyes. Take a slow, full, deep breath and let go. It's time to set the world aside. Let go of your day and begin your gentle transition into sleep. Take another slow, full, deep breath and breathe out any tension in your body. All there is to do now is relax, rest, and be restored. You're in bed now, feeling your body relax from the day. Beginning with your feet, allow all the tension to go out of them now. They've worked hard for you all day and deserve a rest. And so, the relaxation in your feet begins to find its way into your ankles, your calves, and your knees. And now, relax your upper legs, your hips, and feel this relaxation flowing up into your abdomen and lower back, and your upper back and chest. And feel this peaceful, relaxing feeling flowing down your arms, into your hands, and out your fingertips. And then up into your neck, head, and face. Now your whole body is perfectly calm, relaxed, and ready for sleep. Soon you will be sound asleep, off on a peaceful journey into dreamland that will carry you all the way through until morning. So as you continue to listen to the story, begin to follow your breath. Relax your entire body and settle in for a wonderful sleep experience. Let us begin with our journey. Susie was looking forward to hearing what I had to say. I am not sure, I said. That is a response she does not want to hear. She made a face to indicate that she did not approve of my response. I tickled her to make her feel better. She erupted in laughter. Now tell me what you want to be when you grow up. I was the one who asked, she explained. I am at a loss for words when it comes to her. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a sailor because of Popeye the Sailor Man. I used to eat spinach in the hopes of gaining enough strength to walk. That, however, never happened. As a result, I don't believe in miracles anymore. I am too old to grow up, and I am currently a painter. It's now your turn to answer. I gave my response. She was undecided on what to say. I haven't made up my mind yet, she said. I answered her, well, there's still time to find out. She then inquired about the art piece I was working on. I make digital art on my computer. I am frequently commissioned to paint various portraits by people who find my work on the internet. I only do portraits of people. I do want to try out different art techniques now and then. Sometimes I do a lot of landscape drawings. They're mostly from my village. I occasionally paint fictitious landscapes. Most places in the globe that I haven't visited before. My parents left our house for my sister and me. I live on the ground floor. My sister, Jessica, together with her husband, Nikhil, and their daughter, Susie, lives on the first floor. They buy necessities that I am unable to obtain through the internet. We stay in Asur, a small village in Tirunelveli. It's difficult to find it on a map. There aren't many amenities in our village. Our community only recently got an internet connection. We still buy our necessities in the nearest metropolis. My village is around a kilometer away. To go to the city, you will need to take a bus. Bus travel is not my favorite mode of transportation. The majority of buses in my community are not wheelchair accessible. Traveling in a wheelchair is also inconvenient. People will gaze at you as if you are the first disabled person they have ever seen. As a result, I avoid taking buses. Nikhil usually drives me out of town on his motorcycle. My friends do it occasionally as well. However, I dislike being dependent on others. I still have dreams in which I'm walking about in various locations, primarily beaches and woodlands. You can't dream of something you've never seen, they say. I'd never visited a beach before. The closest beach to me is approximately 320 kilometers distant. It was inaccessible to those with disabilities. I have seen beaches only in movies and photos. There aren't many individuals in my village who have never seen the sea. The majority of them work as farmers. They are most effective. They were adamant about not going to sea. They had no interest in anything other than farming, to be precise. Their first concern is putting food on the table. In my village, there isn't much to do. That's why I've always wanted to travel to new locations. But I haven't been able to do it since the accident. As a result, I stopped going out. I've stopped attending church because I don't see the point. I simply write my prayers on paper and toss them out the window of my terrace, believing that they will be heard by God. My wishes, however, have never been granted. I was creating a portrait of Murugan, the Hindu god. No one has ever seen God. Finding a compelling face that makes someone feel transcendental is difficult. I began to draw it after modeling it on my face. My client, on the other hand, might not appreciate it. What type of self-centered individual would do such a thing? Then it occurred to me to use my father's face as a model. It didn't, however, fit as well. I sat there with my art block. I attempted to remember every face I'd come across. I've been showing a slideshow of the people I've met inside my head. My doorbell rang unexpectedly. Who could it possibly be? I pondered. I left my room and opened the door. A middle-aged man was standing there. He had a beard and curly hair, keen eyes and a sharp nose. He was dressed for the beach. You won't find a man like this in my village now. Most people would mock him for his outlandish fashion sense. He said, "I heard you've been looking for me." "It has to be for someone from upstairs," I murmured as I slammed my door shut. I walked into my room. I took a seat next to my computer and began painting. I was still stumped as to what to do with the faces. I began my search on the internet. I couldn't seem to locate the type of face I'm looking for. I don't look like any of them. A voice came from my back. I turned around to see the guy I just met. I inquired, "How did you get in?" "Nobody's in the house." I couldn't ask for anyone's assistance in evicting him. "No doors can keep me out," he replied. I contacted the cops, but the call was repeatedly dropped. It came as no surprise. The majority of government services are ineffective. I requested him to leave. "It's you who's on the lookout for me. That is why I have come," he stated. I asked him who he was. He said, "I am an angel." I couldn't stop myself from laughing. I told him I'd seen a lot of con artists like him. Some people in this town might fall for these self-proclaimed godmen, but I am not one of them. I didn't want him to go now. I wanted to have a dialogue with him. It's fun to push these buttons of such people. I sit and listen to an astrologer or fortune teller tell me what my future holds whenever I see one. The majority of what they told me would never come true. However, conversing with them is enjoyable. I admire their self-confidence. The man who claimed to be an angel also exuded confidence. I informed the angel that I was not in search of him. He said he came because he heard I was looking for a face to model my painting after. I'm not sure how he got to know that. I wondered whether he was some kind of a hacker who reads my emails. "I am not a hacker," he replied. "But it doesn't seem that difficult." I was completely taken aback. What made him think he knew what I was thinking? Was he an angel? I told him, "I don't believe you." He responded, "That's all right. This isn't the first time I've heard something like this. I would be astonished only if you believed me immediately." He selected today to show up out of all the days he could have. He should have known better if he was an angel. There were times when I needed his aid. He, on the other hand, never showed up. Now that he's finally arrived, my skepticism is understandable. My only source of motivation is hope. I'm not willing to trust in a so-called miracle that could save my life. He said, "You are in denial." After hearing his response, I wanted to put him to the test. I requested that he close his eyes. I then crossed my arms behind my back. I challenged him to guess how many fingers was I displaying. He said 5. On the right hand, there are 3 fingers and 2 on the left. As a result, there are a total of 5. I switched the fingers around and showed him. Wrong, I countered. He discovered that I had changed and requested a rematch. I then proceeded to put my hand behind. I was pondering what number I should display. I decided on 3 as the number. 3, he remarked, just as I was thinking of it. It was a simple test. I'd have to come up with something more challenging. You can do anything because you are an angel. Is that correct? I inquired. There are some regulations and boundaries, but absolutely, he responded with a nod. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I enjoy watching people do backflips. But there is no way I'll ever be able to do it. I asked him to have me perform a backflip. Couldn't you make it any more difficult? He stated in his case. Then he made a gesture with his hand. I began to float through the air. I was yelling. His hand movements elicited a response from my entire body. He made a flick of his hand. Slowly, I began to rotate in the air. I was afraid that the ceiling fan would smack me in the head. He was nevertheless extremely cautious. I was floating in the air in the middle of the room. My hip served as my center of gravity, and my legs propelled me upward. I was upside down and facing my window in the blink of an eye. I could feel the blood rush to my head. He was standing in the corner, waving his hand like a conductor. After that, he put me back into my wheelchair. It was thrilling and enjoyable. I wanted to experience it once more. I asked him to do it again. Not once, but twice I flipped backwards. Nobody was around to see it. I wish Susie had been here. She was the optimistic one. She had always believed in the power of magic. Now I believe you, I stated. I had a lot of questions. Although what was currently taking place could be classified as a religious event, I have always been fascinated by science. I was curious about the age-old query. I wondered, are aliens real? He said, indeed they are. Do they also pray for you? I asked. He said that he was a part of every god on the planet. They're all similar but different, one but not the same. He focuses on events that take place on Earth. This sounds like something out of The Matrix, I commented. He stated that he is not bound by any faith. He is an all-encompassing, universal being. He is employed in the department of grievances. When he receives a complaint, they conduct a fact check. If the complaint is legitimate, the first step is to offer them answers to their difficulties. This isn't anything that requires the assistance of an omnipresent hand. They simply link the two people and provide them with the resources to handle their problems on their own. The second step is to send a sign to demonstrate that it is a divine act. People call these acts miracles because they have no explanation. The third step is when they use a medium such as individuals, objects, or animals to intervene. The fourth phase is when they approach you and make a wish for you. "Are you going to grant me a wish?" I inquired. "Yes," he replied. "Could you have prevented me from being crippled?" That was when I asked for your help the most. However, you've come today because I couldn't find a transcendental face with which to design one of your avatars, I lashed out. His face didn't appear to be all that hypnotic or transcendental. I was thinking to myself, I can hear what you're saying. He then went on to say that he had arrived today as a result of his years of prayers. It failed to convince me. But I am not one to turn down a wish. He said, "Think about what you want and I'll grant you a wish." I instantly replied, "I'd like to go to the beach." He was taken aback when he saw my response without even thinking about it. He asked me again, "Do you want to go to the beach?" "Yes," I said. He couldn't figure out why. I was concerned he wouldn't be able to do it. "Why? You're not going to take me to the beach?" I asked. He smiled at me and snapped his fingers. However, nothing seems to have happened. After that, I began to hear the noises of waves. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I was asked to open the windows by him. I opened the windows. My neighbor's house is directly across the street from my window. I can hear everything they talk about. I'd always wished for a new neighbor and to be replaced by someone new. Both of my wishes were fulfilled. My house is right next to a beach. Is it real? Or does it disappear after my disbelief is suspended? I asked. I can make anything happen. You can even ask me back about your ability to walk. You know you can ask me that, right? He said. I know, I said. He snapped his fingers again as he gazed at me. We were whisked away to the beach in a matter of seconds. It was just what I had imagined and hoped for. Calling it beautiful would be an understatement. I wanted to go to that thin imaginary line that connects the sea and the sky. There was a ramp on the beach. I was riding down the ramp towards the beach. Except for myself, there was no one else. There are no ships or boats. Where are all the people? I was perplexed. He explained that is how it looked when he made it. It was quiet because all I could hear were the waves. I got close to the water's edge. I attempted to immerse my legs in the water and feel the waves on them. When I turned around, the angel stood there staring at me. After that, I climbed out of my wheelchair and fell into the water. The waves began to crash against my face. It caused my entire body to move. I was trying to swim by pushing my hands against them. It was a thrilling experience. When I turned around, there was no one behind me. I looked in every direction. He had vanished. I returned to the shore by swimming. However, I am unable to locate my wheelchair. I was perplexed. I noticed a pole nearby. I crawled to it. I snatched the pole and attempted to stand on my own. "Is anyone here?" I yelled. My voice echoed back to me. The sound of my wheelchair squeaking down the ramp surprised me. I returned my gaze to it. However, I became unbalanced. I was on the verge of collapsing, but to my astonishment, I didn't. My legs held up. I was taken aback when I realized I was standing. I tried to take a small step forward with my feet. It was difficult to retrain myself to walk. I walked like a baby. I was overjoyed. I screamed. Slowly, I began walking. The sand was getting stuck in my fingers. I walked towards the beach. I started walking faster and faster.